big mistakes I see people make when they're first learning to use multimeters is they're beginning out, and so they have one of these cheaper non-auto ranging multimeters. And in some ways, this makes using your multimeter even harder, right? So if you can get a good auto ranging meter, I highly recommend it. I'll put a couple of my recommendations in the comments. But if you're using one of these non-auto ranging multimeters, you have to make sure that you read whatever you read here is in the correct units, right? There's no units displayed on this meter. So you have to realize right now, so a new student may read this and say, oh, this is around 0.96 ohms, but it's not anywhere close to that. You're in the mega ohm range. So when you read this, you're reading 0.96 mega ohms, right? That's a million ohms. So that's 0.96 times 10 to the 6 ohms. So don't forget, when you're using these non-auto ranging multimeters, you have to keep in mind what units you're in. And that's just part of knowing your meter, understanding, all right, where am I set at? Another issue students have when they're using these non-auto ranging meters is, they'll put it to something like 20 kilo ohm range here, the kilo ohm range here, and then they'll read open line. They'll be like, well, what's going wrong? I don't understand. Well, the reality is, my resistance value that I'm reading right now is out of range of this setting. So you have to go to the next settings and see if that fixes something. So if I scroll up here to the mega ohm range, now I can get my reading. Another common mistake I see, students set up their meter and they go to measure the wall, right? So they put their probes in, right, like this. And they don't measure any voltage. And they're like, oh, okay. Looks like this is not working right. Maybe the outlet's not working. Well, no, they have their meter set into measure, right? They have their meter set to measure DC voltage. And when you measure an AC signal with DC voltage, you're gonna get something that's close to zero. That's how the meter's gonna work. So, and the reasons for that, are probably beyond the scope of this video, but that's a pretty dangerous thing because you might think there's no power in something when there really is power. So you turn off your breaker at your house, you go to measure the outlet, and you think it measures 0 volts, but it's not. That's a pretty serious safety issue. So always make sure when you're measuring line voltage, you're measuring AC, okay?